Janbask training. Learn and grow.
Just to start with here, guys, first let's understand what Python is, what basically a programming is, why we need programming, what were the days before any of the programming, how the days used to run before any programming, what programming is. It's a basic idea to understand, to learn any programming should be what. Let's talk about that first. Let's talk about the initial days. Initial days where things all were quite manual, where we used to do all the things manually, whatever it is, booking of air tickets, booking of railways, booking of any of the seats there in restaurant, booking of the any of the movies. What we used to do is we used to do everything manually. We used to visit to respective stations to book tickets, to book our slots. Now the time is very fast. We don't have that much time to wait in that long queue for air tickets, for railways, for movies and all, for many other things. The time has changed. Now it is the time where we want to do everything sitting somewhere remotely using a small laptop in our hand. We want to do everything by using that machine itself. How it has been changed, how it has been evolved in this way. How can we connect remotely to any of the places, to any of the system, to any of the server, and we can book anything whatever we wish to do. How things have changed. The evolution has brought nothing but something which is called programming. I'm not mainly focusing on any specific programming now. I'm just giving you a general idea about programming. What programming has changed and how it has changed our career, our life, our way to live, how the previous generation is different from this generation. Let's understand that first before we jump into any of the programming. What programming is, let's understand that first. So when I was talking that a decade back, even before that, when we were doing things manually, things were drastically slow. We has to visit to respective stations to book any of the thing which we wish to. Now we can sit at home and we can book anything which we wish to. I want to book a air ticket, I can book sitting in front of my computer, I can easily book it. I want to book a movie ticket, I can just sit in front of my machine and I can do that. How this changes has been brought. This changes has been brought by some of the other programming which has given me that interface, that front end by using which I can do anything which I wish to, sitting remotely somewhere at any of the place. Nowadays, just think what is going on in real time, friends. Do we actually travel to anywhere if I want to book any slot at any of the places? No. We wish to do everything sitting remotely only. There are many of the other advantages which programming brought in our life. This is one of the very small example out of many which programming has brought in our life. We can achieve huge lots of things by the use of programs in our machine. We can turn off, we can turn on any of the remote systems just by a single command which I execute in my machine. How my machine communicates with any of the remote machine by use of certain programming which I run. Even though you turn on your laptop, something or your computer, something runs a series of commands scrolls on your screen. What those commands are, how your laptop, how your machine boots up, that is nothing but by the use of certain program which runs at the back end. I want to open a notepad. What I do is I just click on my Windows UI and I click on notepad, it opens up. What happens at the back end? This is the user interface. What happens at the back end? Some or the other script runs at the back end, which helps you just with a click, you can open any notepad. Any of the thing which you wish to do in your machine, you can do that with the help of that. You are going to Google, you are typing some name, something is coming up on the screen. It's Google, the world's biggest search engine now. How Google is searching anything which you are typing on Google because of the some program which runs at the back end. You type a name and Google tries to find it from anywhere in the database, in any other website's database, how the connection is happening in between Google's own server, any other website's internal server. Some program again runs there also. See the usages of programs, how vast, how deep it is, anywhere it is, and everywhere it is. How program runs, guys. Program. We all would have heard this in our childhood. We need to work in a very programmatic way. What program is? Program is nothing but orienting everything in a proper order, orienting multiple activities in a proper sequence, proper order. That is program. Do you really think that if you want to book airfare, do you really think that without searching for your flight details, can you actually do your booking? Can you actually book seats without searching for the flight details? Say if you want to move from anywhere, say if you're traveling from somewhere from Illinois to North Carolina, can you actually do without putting these location details? Can you actually search for the flights without even putting these location details? No, you cannot. The first thing which you have to do is you have to put your location details, then you have to look for your flight details, then you have to feed in your names. After that, you have to feed in your personal details, and then you have to click on book option. Post that, the payment option comes. Everything is in a order, guys. Yes, everything is in a order. Everything is in a sequence. This is what program gives me. It puts everything in a proper sequence. How the sequence we can get, how that sequence is a general term which we use, which we humans use in day-to-day life. What it's called in computer terms, that sequence is called algorithm. In terms of program, algorithm helps us to maintain a sequence in a program, the sequence by means of which we let machine know what exactly we want to do, how I want to do. Just for an instance, think about that. You are booking one air ticket. What exactly your location, your program will ask you for the first time when you are trying to do that. Put the location detail. You are putting in some location detail. What happens the backend is some program, some algorithm runs. If you want to travel from Illinois to Carolina, some loop runs at the back end. You just put the details on the user interface, which any of the booking website provides you. Some program runs the back end. If you want to travel from this location to this location, you do have these many flights. Some algorithm runs. So sequence in what we say in our normal words, in computer terms, that is called algorithm. Everything is put in sequence. That is what programs, isn't it, guys? That is what program is. Putting things in a proper order, in a proper sequence, in a language which we can understand. In layman language, what program is putting things in a proper order which someone can understand, which we can use to execute achieve some of our purpose, is a program. Yes, in computer terms, what we call program is putting multiple activities in certain order, writing that order in computer language. That is program. That is what the program is. Now we do have programs which is written in multiple languages, like the way we speak with each other. I'm sure that you all guys will have your own regional language, but we are communicating with each other just by using one single language which everybody can understand, which is English. Yes, similarly, each of the program is written in its own language. It could be C, it could be Java, it could be Python, it could be Shell. Every program is written in its own language, the language which each of the programs supports, which machine interprets. Machine doesn't understand each of the language because I do have only one machine, right? I do have only one machine. A machine cannot understand all the languages, which whatever we do have, whatever it's getting developed, how it happens. Tomorrow, today it's Python, tomorrow, I mean, nowadays Ruby is there, Groovy is there, many new languages are there. How one single machine, which I bought, say, 5 years back, when the Ruby was not even known to world, when Groovy was not even known to world, can also understand Ruby and Groovy. There must be something which is present there in my machine which can interpret any of the language, whatever I'm trying to write. There must be something, right? What the something is. If I want to communicate with any of the guys, say if I travel Germany and there some of the guy do not understand English or my regional language, I'll carry somebody with me to whom I'll say as translator or a guide who will help me to translate my language into German and make me understand somebody who's talking German. Yes, somebody who's talking in language which I do not understand. I'll take somebody's help to convert that, to translate that. Here also in programming language, we do have multiple such things. To name one, we do have compiler, interpreter. We learn that in our curriculum in a session, what a compiler, what an interpreter does, how a compiler or interpreter converts any of the language which we write to machine understandable format, because we can write a program in multiple different languages. Yes, I can write my program in Java, I can write my program in Python, I can write my program in C or any other language. It needs to be converted to a language which machine can understand. It's pretty obvious. It's just think about a very generic way, guys. The machine, quite similar to humans, cannot understand all the language. There should be a converter, there should be a translator, there should be a compiler, there should be one interpreter or compiler which interprets the language which I'm using to write program and convert it into machine understandable format, the language which a machine can understand. Now I can write code in Python, Java, C, or any other language. My compiler or interpreter will convert that into machine understandable format. Yes, so now even though if my laptop is say 5 years old, with the old configuration, can also have the tool which is present there in it, which will allow me to write Python as a code. Yes, so this is what program is. This is what a compiler is. This is what the general understanding of how program actually works in our day-to-day life, what algorithm is. This is what a general view of program is. Okay, so that's what the program is, guys. Now programs are of multiple different programming basically can, I'm just talking quite a generic note today. Let me just first give you some generic idea what program is. Before we learn Python, we need to understand what program is. So now we can do programming, guys. Now, since you understand what programming is, how programming works, what is the implementation, the real-time execution of programming is in day-to-day life, let's understand how programming can be done. Yes, now we know what programming is. Now let's understand how programming can be done. What we know, how we have to learn. That's what we are going to learn in our course, right? How. We all know what, we learn how. Now, programming can be done in two ways, guys. One type of programming, one way of programming is called functional oriented programming, which is also called procedural method of programming, something which follows certain procedure, which is also called functional oriented programming. And another is object oriented programming. Two kind of programmings we'll talk about: functional and object oriented programming. That's what we are going to learn about. That's what we are going to talk about. Wherein, in order to learn these things, we'll talk about a number of components in programming. A number of components we'll talk about. Now, when I say about two ways, functional oriented programming and object oriented programming, these both the ways of programming, functional and object oriented programming, helps me to achieve anything in my life. Any of the thing which I want to do, sending email, WhatsApp, any of the social media which you think about, everything we can achieve by using these two methods of programming, which is functional oriented programming and object oriented programming. Whatever you can think about, we can achieve by using only these two methods of programming. What functional or procedure oriented programming is: in functional or project or procedure oriented programming, the emphasis is put on functions. We only write functions and get work done by using functions. Yes, in procedure or functional oriented programming, the main emphasis is there on functions. We put more emphasis on functions. There we simply write these functions, and we want to achieve everything by using these functions only. In object oriented programming, it has its own role to play. in object-oriented programming will work mostly with classes. What classes are? I'm just giving you a basic idea, guys. Not to worry if you're not understanding what I'm talking about. Anyways, we are going to cover everything, functions, classes in our curriculum. I'm just giving you a basic idea what programming is, what are the different types of programming are. So as I said, programming will be basically of only two types. Whatever language you talk about, programming will be only of two types. It could be the procedural programming, the functional programming, or it could be object-oriented programming. In procedural or functional-oriented programming, we'll talk mostly about functions. We'll write functions and we will get all the work done by functions only. But object-oriented programming, in object-oriented programming, we will do all the work with classes. What those classes will be? Classes is nothing but a collection of both variables and functions. We'll talk more and more about variables here. We'll talk more and more about multiple functions here. Now, what these functions are, what these variables are, we'll learn that also in our curriculum. How in functions, how while we write functions, say if I want to do, if I normally write a code, say if the code, whatever I want to achieve, if I'm achieving in 10 lines by using my functions, I can achieve the same 10, I can convert the same 10-line code into say 2 lines code by calling the functions. How variable helps me to generalizing things, to make things pretty generic rather than hard coding anything. Think about a situation. Will it be actually, will that page actually be friendly, which will actually be effective? Say if you are sending email and you try to open the you try to open the compose email and you on the to section or in the CC section everything is hard coded. Yeah, so if anything is hard coded, do you really think that it will be that comfortable to use? It will be that good to use? Because I may have to send email to someone at any other point of time. I may need to send email to some other guy. I do not want to hard code any of the name there on to section. I want to generalize it. How things can be made generic. Things can be made generic by the use of certain value to which we call as variables. Similarly, functions also plays its role. We'll learn about that. So what classes are, what we learn when we talk about object-oriented programming, we basically learn about how to write programs by using classes, how to work with classes. Now classes, as I said, will be collection of both variables and functions. Now to access classes, we will make objects of those classes. So those will be classes. What classes will be? I'm just trying to break each and every term into multiple components so that you can easily understand it, easily visualize it. And I'll try to relate most of the thing on very generic, every technical term on the very generic level so that you can easily understand it. What classes are? Classes can be broken into functions and variables. Classes will be a combination, a collection of both variables and functions are. Functions we will use to combine multiple codes together, multiple lines of codes together, and to make a compact program, make a more efficient program, we will use functions. Wherein variables will try to make things generic rather than hard coding any of the value. If I want to generalize any of the thing, any of the page you talk about, any of the section of internet you talk about, that can be done by using some variable. Say if you're opening Google Chrome or Internet Explorer on URL section, will you like it if somebody gives you an Internet Explorer where only Google is hard coded? You're not allowed to open any other thing. Will you like that Internet Explorer? Or will you like that Internet Explorer wherein if you're opening, you can put URL of your own choice? How it's happening? It's happening because it's generalized by the use of certain variables. You are allowed to put values of your own wish, of your own choice. How that is done? That is done by using certain variables. We'll learn about those variables in our section. Yes, we'll understand everything about functions, we'll understand everything about variables. Now let's talk about some of the very basic things. Why Python? Why not any other language? Why Python? Let's understand that before we jump into Python. We'll start learning on Python. Why Python? Why not any other language? We do have many languages today now, isn't it, guys? We do have Java, we do have C, many new languages also coming. Ruby, Groovy, many new languages are coming. .NET, legacy one. Why Python? Because Python is simple, easy to learn, easy to write, easy to read, easy to interpret, easy to understand. It's a high level program. Python is quite easy, much more easy than any other language to learn, to understand, to read, and to write. It's quite human friendly. It's not the way complex like the way we do have shells. You know what happens in cells? In cells, whenever you are writing, in shell, when you are writing any shell script, lots of variables, lots of different kind of variables are there. Spatial variables, environment variables, A, B, C, so many variables are there. Interpreting, understanding those variables is very tough. Remembering those variables takes time, but Python is much more easy, much more simple than any other language you talk about. Java, it's quite syntax oriented. Nowadays, many new things are there. YAML, it completely runs with indentation. Of course, we will maintain indentation in Python also, but not that strict the way it is there in multiple other languages. Talk about YAML, talk about Java. They all talk about Groovy. They all maintains high level of indentation and high level of syntax. Wherein Python, it's much user friendly, much easy to understand. Here we do have the concepts of classes. We do have very high level concepts here. We'll talk about all those concepts in our curriculum. So as I said, why Python? Because Python is simple, easy to learn, easy to read, easy to write. Why Python? Python is free and open source. It comes with extensive support libraries. It is having bigger community support when we compare it with any other language. Yes, we always prefer, say if I'm starting a business today, on my initial days, I'll try to install any of the open source tool, isn't it? Once my business grows and I can afford the licenses, then and only then I'll start purchasing licenses for the tools and I'll convert it into enterprise level. But initially, when I'm starting my business, I'll prefer to start my business, to continue run my business with an open source tool only. That's what Python gives me. Python is one open source free tool. Yes, it's open source and free. It comes, as I said, with huge library support. What I basically mean when I say library and library support, that also we are going to learn in our curriculum. What I basically mean in library, what library is in any of the programming, we'll talk about that also in our curriculum. And the feature of Python, which makes Python more and more popular, is Python is a high level language. Now, languages, what I basically mean when I say high level languages, is there something called low level and medium level languages also? Yes, there are. The languages or any of the languages which you talk about in programming world can be divided in three categories: low level language, medium level language, and high level language. Yes, they can be divided into three categories. Low level language are called assembly language. What assembly language is? Assembly language is a language that directly interacts with CPU registers. Those are called low level language. Those are called assembly languages. Yes, assembly languages will be those languages which interacts directly with the CPU registers. Those will be assembly languages or low level languages. The medium level languages, many of the languages which we talk about, C, C sharp, C hash, they all are medium level languages. What is medium level language? A next level to low level language. Medium level language is a layer over your low level language. Low level language is called assembly language. Medium level language is next level to your low level language, which is kind of a next layer over your low level language. Now, what middle level language can do, it can for sure interacts with your CPU registers, but it also allows us to use certain statements like for, while, and many others. Yes, so it for sure interacts with your CPU registers, but other than that, it also allows you to use certain statements. You can make your algorithm more and more compact, more and more effective. Now you can generalize things. You can use multiple levels in your program itself by using for, by using while in it. That is what middle level language provides you, that you can achieve by using middle level language. Next comes the next level of language, which is high level language. And the high level language doesn't at all bother about the low level details. It doesn't bother about memory allocations. It doesn't bother all about the low level memory, the low level details. It does the automatic memory allocation. That is what we learn in Python, because that understanding you will have for sure, that if I'm trying to write something, somewhere in my machine it gets stored, some memory it takes somewhere. Now whenever I write a low level program, the we have to decide the memory allocation also, we have to keep that thing also in mind. But when we write any of the high level languages, there is automatic memory allocation. Automatic memory allocation happens. That is what it is given to us by some high level language like Python. Okay, this is what we are going to learn about, this is what we are going to talk about in our curriculum. Now let's see what is the how our slide starts. What is the different components which we already talk about? What variables are? What functions are? Yes, that is what we are going to learn about. So whenever we are learning variables, we are going to assign certain hard-coded value, certain specific value to a variable. Like the way I was saying you, I can assign a variable to any of the value. Rather than writing 10, I can generalize it. I can make it generic by assigning certain value to that variable. Just try to relate it with what we do there in our real life. Instead of hard coding any of the name to on the to section of my email, it remains blank for us and we can write any name there. How it happens? It happens because of the use of certain variable there in the program. Doesn't matter what email provider it is, Gmail, Yahoo, anything. It's kept generic by the use of certain variable there. We are going to talk about those things, how to do that, how it can be done. Now, Python, the good part of Python is Python supports different programming. Python will support different type of programming. It will support both the kind of programming, because as I already said you, the programs will be of two types: procedural or functional oriented programming and object oriented programming. Python basically supports both the kind of programming, procedural as well as object oriented programming. Both the programmings we can achieve, we can perform by using Python. You can write functions also in Python. You can write classes also in Python. Both of the things, because as I already said you, functional is nothing but we want to achieve whatever we want to do by using functions only. Wherein in object oriented programming, we'll start writing classes. We start converting classes into objects. Python will support both the kind of programmings, functional as well as object oriented. Both the kind of programmings Python will support. How it works, I'm going to explain you. Python, other than that, it can integrate, it works in integration with any of the language, any of the other language, C, Java, .NET, any of the component, any of the thing Python can get integrated with. Yes, you can integrate Python with anything. If you are integrating Python with C, it is called C Python. If you are integrating Python with Java, it is called J Python. If you are integrating Python with .NET, it is called Iron Python. So Python can be integrated with any of the language. There are multiple uses of Python. Now you talk about any company, YouTube, Google, Torrent, Netflix. You talk about any of the company, everywhere, everything is running on the top of Python only. Yes, everywhere we do have Python now. Anywhere you talk about, we do have Python at the backend.
Today we are going to talk more bit about our
topic, and that is going to be some insights of Python, some more codings and Python to talk about. So wherein we'll discuss about, let me just start sharing my screen. I'm going to work everything on idle, and I'll show you how the code is written in idle. But as I've said that those who are pretty new to Python, they should install Jupyter or they should install Anaconda IDE. That will be more helpful to them. Yeah. So hope you have done that. Okay, so now the first thing in Python, whenever we work on any of the language, any of the scripting language, or any of the programming language, what we need to worry about is how to define our variables. Yes, we work on variables because computer doesn't know. Say if I'm typing, my name is Sumit. If I'm typing any program there on computer, computer doesn't know my name, right? I need to provide that information to computer. That information, that value which I'm feeding in computer is called variables. Yes, so what are variables? Variables are nothing but some information which I'm feeding into computer so that the computer recognizes me, recognizes my input by that specific keyword. That is called a variable. So now, what is the first thing which we need to worry about when we write any of the programming languages? We need to worry about the type of the variable which we are putting in. Yes, which is called typecasting in programming world. Type of the variable in multiple other languages, like when we talk about Java, when we talk about C, typecasting has to be done before you even start writing the code. Now, how many types of variables there could be present? How many types could you assign a data of? So there could be basically four types of which you can align to a data. So those four types are: type one is your string, type two is boolean, type three is integer, and type 4 is floating. So these are basically the four types a data could be of. No fifth type a data could belong to: string, boolean, integer, float. So what is basically a string? If you write any sentence, if you write any name, if you write anything English, it's called string for Python. Any English which you write for Python is called string for Python. So consider that I'm writing something. This is my first code. This is a string. Yeah, this is a string. What is Boolean? If anybody answers, if anybody gives you a response only in yes or no, only in true or false, that's called Boolean. So Boolean takes only two values, true. What is integer? Hope you know what is integer. Everybody read that in primary schools. What is integer? Any numerical value which doesn't contain decimal input is called an integer. What is floating? Decimal value. Yeah. So these are the four data types which we are going to read in our session: string, boolean, integer, and float. String is going to be the normal English which we write. Boolean is going to take only two inputs, which is true and false. Integer will take the numerical value which does not contain any decimal input, and float will contain the decimal value in it. So these are the four things. Now, whenever we are going to talk about any high level language, the first thing which we need to worry about is how to define the type of your variable, type of your data. But the best part of Python is you don't need to worry about the typecasting. Python by default takes care of typecasting. No, now in Python, data types are automatically inferred. No need to declare it. We don't need to declare any of the data types. Now, as I already said, let me just repeat it. Data type is going to be four types: integer, floating value, boolean, and string. Now, Python, what it does is it understands data on its own. We don't need to infer the data. We don't need to put the data type to Python whenever we are writing the code. Now, how to know what type of data it is? The way to know what type of data it is, we do have a function. We do have a predefined function in Python which is called type. Now let's start with the programming voltage. Now from today on, we are going to start with programming. We are going to talk about programming. We are going to understand the programming concepts from today onwards. If you again guys, if you are unable to understand me at any point of time, you can ask me there, you can ask me questions. Your questions are much. So now let's start. As I said, let's define a variable. So consider A. A is a variable. As I said, any of the, I do not know what the value of A is. Computer do not know what the value of A is. What we need to do is we need to feed in the value to the computer so the computer recognizes the value. For that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign certain value to variables. So for the first time, I'll assign the value. This is my first code. What I'll do is I will typecast. I will just check what type this variable is on. And for checking, I'll put this in under print function. Do not worry about these things, guys. I'll explain you everything in very detail in our upcoming sessions. You will understand each and everything, so do not worry about these things. Just give me a moment. We create a folder for this. Your batch starts Python, and your batch started on Saturday 28th. Yeah. So I'm going to save this. Today's file is 3, 2. Fine. Now can you see here what it says? The class type is string. So basically when I'm trying to enlist the type of the variable which I have already assigned. What it says is the type is string. So string is named in Python with str. Yeah, string in Python is named with str, right? Now quite similar to that, I do have boolean, integer and float. Let's assign some integer value to the same variable. Now here I will, instead of writing this first code, I will use some other variables. I'll assign value to that. So b equals, I'll assign some integer value to it. What is integer? Any of the numerical. 6. Now you typecast this. Can you see here what it says? The first was integer and the second is integer. First one is string and the second one is integer. So second one is going to be integer. This one is going to be integer. Yes. This one is going to be integer. Now, other than these things, floating and boolean, let's talk about that also. Let's assign my third value. It's going to be c, and to c I'll assign a value which is floating, so 16.1. And now you typecast c. What it says, it's a float. Can you see? The first one is integer, the first one is string, the first one where I have written simple English, that's a string. The second one where I'm giving input to some integer value, it's saying I'm integer. And the third one which say where I'm giving some decimal value, it recognizes it as float. These are the three different data types which you've seen. Other than that, we can have the data type of boolean also. So now, as I said, boolean accepts just two values, true or false. So let's talk about that. So a equals, or let's give some other variable, b equals true, and a b here. Can you see here what it says? My first data type, which is where I've written simple English, it's a string. My second data type, where I've given input as certain integer, is an int type. My third one is boolean, which is taking a decimal value as input. And the third one is a float, which is taking decimal value as input. And the fourth one is boolean, which will accept only two values, which is true and false. So now, did I assign these data types at any place while I'm writing the code? No, right? I never declared it. I just wrote it. I just provided the input to the variables, and automatically it's getting diagnosed, it's getting detected which data type these variables belongs to. That is what the beauty of Python is. In Python, you no need to do data type declaration. Entire thing is taken care by the Python itself. And who does it? In our previous session, we have seen that PVM is the main core concept of Python. Just Python virtual machine. It recognizes what it is, what data type it is, and it displays me, it gives me the end result, it gives me the output. Yes, did you understand this thing? How data declaration is happening automatically in Python? So this is what we call as data types, wherein in Python we need to define the data. See, automatically I'm presenting the input. I'm getting the appropriate responses here, which you can see on the right side of my screen. Yeah, which are these four: string, integer, float, and boolean. Right now, this is called the data type declaration. Now, another thing. Whenever you're writing the code, it's not only the code which matters, but also you will expect users to provide input. Say, consider a situation, guys. I mean, also when I'm writing the code, I'll try to give you some real-time situation, how and where we are going to use those programs. Consider a situation, guys, when you are building one application. Say, consider a situation when you are building one web application. Yes, what you will expect. Say you are building one web application, you are logging into Janbask website. What you will expect? You will expect users to provide you certain input, right? That input could be in the form of the username, email address, like the way here I'm putting the URL which you are accessing. You will expect users to provide certain input into it. So we'll ask for user input. How will you make your program understand that it should seek for users input? There should be some mechanism by means of which you can make your program understand that there's some user input which your program is waiting for. How can you make that work? For that, you do have another function which is called input function. So what input function does, input function will always try to seek for user input. Now let's see how it works. So A equals, I'll write input function, and now I am going to look for user input. User input is yes. Now what I'll do is I will print, or rather I won't do anything. I'll just run it. Now see what it says. User input please. Now it's asking for my input. I can write anything. This is my second class of Python. Yeah. So it's asking for the user input now. It's accepting user input. Yes. So how I can make computer or program understand that I'm seeking for an user input with the help of input function. I can make program understand. Now I can write n number of lines of similar, and as many times I'm writing, that many times it will look for the user input. So user input 1, user input 2, user input 3, user input 4, user input 5. Now give some different values to it. C, D, E, C. User input 1. This is first input. User input 2. This is second input. User input 3. This is third input. User input 4, fourth, 5. So as many times I have given here the input value, it's asking for that many times and expecting that many inputs. Now consider that you are creating a web page for sure. I mean, of course, you have a learning program, you try to implement that program to develop certain applications, right? So consider that we're using this program to develop some web application by using Python. So what you will do is you will not only try to provide your inputs, but you will also wait for others to provide their input, right? So how you can allow others to provide the input with these methodologies, the way we did using input function, you will, yeah. And once you're doing that, see here on the right side of the screen, you will get this kind of result. You'll get these kind of values. Yes. So by using input function, you will allow others to provide input. Now let's see some calculations on top. Let's see some calculations. You know, when I'm providing user input, will that be can I put some operation in it? Will that be analyzed? Will that be modulated? Will that be modified? Can I perform certain activities on top of it? Let's see that part. So let's try to add two numbers. Yes, let's try to add two numbers by using our code. So A input. I am taking, this is my number one. I'm taking first number as input. B equals input. This is my number two. Again, this input is also provided. So what I want to do is C equals A plus B. I'm just showing you guys, I'll explain each and everything in very detail. As of now, I'm trying to explain you the functionality of input. Whether if I'm providing certain inputs to variables, can I work on those inputs? Can I operate? Can I perform certain activity on top of those inputs? Let's understand that part for now. Now I'm going to print the value of C. Let's try to print the value of C. Now what it says, it's asking for certain values. Okay, sorry, I need to rerun it. Okay, it's asking me my first number. Say I'm giving the number as 26. I'm giving the number as 72. Now you see the difference here, guys. Now you see the difference here. See, now can anybody answer? If I will press enter now, and when I am performing this addition application, addition operations on it, what should be the answer? What should be the answer? My A is taking the value 26, my B is taking the value 72, and I want to perform addition on top of it. Can somebody give it a try? What should be the value of C when I'm executing enter? What my computer, what my program will give me as output if I want to do this calculations for now? Okay, let's see what computer thinks. Let's hit enter and let's see what computer thinks. See what computer thinks. What result computer has given me. Computer did not give me 98. Computer just appended these two numbers. Appended these two numbers. Yeah, computer. So computer, what computer has done here, instead of addition, computer has appended it. Yeah, computer has appended it. Why computer has appended it? Let's understand that part also. So now, by default, whatever input we give to Python, it's considered as string. So now when I said 26, it's not considered as a number to my computer. It's not considered as a number to my programming language. Rather, it's been considered as a string. And what it did, it has just appended two strings. It did not add two strings and did not evaluate and give me the value as 98. Rather than that, it just appended two different string and gave me this result, which you can see here, 2672. It's just appended, right? So this is what happens with input function. Don't worry, guys. We'll see much more interesting things in our upcoming classes. As of now, just understand this is what happens when I'm trying to give certain value to the input function. Yeah, input function takes the value, takes only the string value. Whatever you are passing on to input function will be considered as string. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's normal English, if it's numbers, if it's float, anything it is, it will always be considered as string, and it's getting appended these things. We'll see the fixes also, how to fix these things in our upcoming topics. Did you understand these things? Start thinking from computer's perspective. Do not think from human's perspective. Think from computer's perspective. You will be able to understand it much and much better. So it gets appended rather than normal addition. It gets appended. We'll see the fixes also. Then in case if I want to add what you would have to do, we'll see that also in our upcoming sessions. Let's move on, guys. So now we have seen that we have assigned certain values to our variables, right? We have assigned certain values to our variables. Now, what are the values you can assign to these variables? What are the values you can assign to these variables? So variable is going to be, so hope you understand now. By now, I've already given you a detailed explanation, detailed idea about what variables are. So let's understand more and more about variables. So names which is given to any component, any input which we are passing on to the computer is called a variable. There are certain rules which is assigned, which you need to follow whenever you are providing certain input to variables. First rule, I'll make a note also for this so that it remains with you. First rule, rule number one, rules for variables. What are the rules for variables? There are certain rules for variables, guys. What are the rules which you know for variables? Variables are case sensitive. Sensitive. Variables are case sensitive. Next is, so when you see, when you are assigning certain value to small a, it won't be inherited by capital A default. So if you are assigning certain value to A, this is for case sensitivity check. Yeah, I've assigned certain value to small a and I want to print capital A. Let's see what it says. See here what it says, name capital A is not defined. Though you have assigned certain value to small a, yes. So that means it's case sensitive. If you're assigning certain value to small a, it won't be printed by capital A also. So this is what I mean when I say that values are case sensitive. Now you can assign only values. You can assign only values which is from A to Z capital A to capital Z, 0 to 9, and underscore. These are only the allowed values for variables. Yes, these are only the allowed values for variables. You cannot put any other value other than this. There are many other special characters which you can see in your computer, right? Which is like these values, these values, these values. These all won't be considered. You must have small a to small z, capital A to capital Z, 0 to 9, and underscore as your variable. You cannot put any other variables other than these types. Yes. Now this is the second rule number 2, and now rule number 3. Any of your variable should never start with a digit. Variable never starts the digit. It never starts with a digit. So if I say 01, it's a wrong syntax. Or if I say 0a, it's a wrong syntax. It won't even accept. Let's try to do that. 0a equals this, and you try to print 0a. No, it's an invalid syntax. You cannot start your variable with a digit. It cannot be a number. You can start some integer or some number can follow it. So A0, this is a valid value. This is a valid value. Yes, this is a valid value. It will detect. It is accepting. See, it's giving me the output also. This is for case sensitivity check. But if you are giving 0a, it did not accept. It was throwing me an error that it's a wrong syntax. That is also a important component. That is also important rule which we need to understand. These are the three golden rules which we must follow. And guys, let me tell you, variables are very essential component of any of the programming language. Very essential language. You need to understand the variable very nicely when you're working on any of the programming language, guys. Because as many times you are writing the programs, hundreds of variables you're going to use, guys. Hundreds of variables you're going to use. You must understand the naming convention of variable. Yes, hope it's clear to everyone. Now let's move on another important topic in Python, which is operators. What are operators in Python? Operators in Python, like I'm providing hashes. Can you see here? I'm providing hashes here. And now when I'm providing hashes, what it's doing is it's commenting that line and it's not even considered when I'm running my program. Yes, those lines are not getting considered. Those lines are not considered when I'm executing that program. So what basically happens when I'm putting a hash in front of any of the line, any of the code line, what happens is it's getting commented. Yes. So in case if I want to comment any single line, what I'll do is I'll put a hash in front of that line, and that line will be commented. And when I say that the line is commented, what I basically mean to say is the line won't be the part of my running code. Yes. So what if I need to have multiple lines and I want to comment multiple lines? In case if I want to comment multiple lines, what I'll do is I'll put three commas and I'll end it with three commas. Now if you run it, see here, it's not even getting considered because this is the way you have commented it. And when you have commented it, it's just considered as a statement. It's not considered as your executable program. Yes. So this is the way you can comment your program. Comment any other line in your program by putting hashes, by putting three commas and putting your code, putting your statement within those three commas. Yeah. So these are the important things which you need to understand before you start writing any of the code. Today, as per our session, we are supposed to continue with list, tuples, dictionaries, set, data type conversion, and I'm supposed to give some idea about that. But prior to that, what my understanding is, you need to have the knowledge of certain operators before I move into these data structures. So I'll rather sticking with the slides, I'll rather make you understand various operators which we use in Python. A kind of understanding of various functions will be very much important. Various operators will be very much important. Okay. So now let's start, guys. So operators in Python. Today we are going to talk about operators in Python. Today we are going to talk about operators in Python. So what are the various types of operators in Python? various types of operators in Python are uh, arithmetic arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators. So there are various kind of arithmetic operators which Python provides me. These arithmetic operators are distinguished by its symbols. So now we do have certain operator which is plus, minus, multiplication, division. We do have certain thing which is called integer division, certain thing which is called modulus. That's it. So these are the different arithmetic operators: plus, minus, multiplication, division. Okay, we do have something which is called to the power. So plus, minus, multiplication, division, modulus, integer division, and to the power, raised to the power. So these are the different arithmetic operators which we do have in Python. Okay. Now we are going to talk about the usage of these arithmetic operators. For that, let me open item. Okay, so now we are going to talk about these arithmetic operators. So let's understand how these arithmetic operators works. Consider yesterday we spoke about two variables. Guys, I go in very chronological order or in very systematic way so that you can grasp things very easily. Yesterday I already spoke about variables and assignment of values to those variables, right? So now today I'm going to talk about the usage of those variables. So let's say it's a equals 10, b equals 20. So now we are going to understand the usage of arithmetic operators. So I say sum equals a, this is going to be sum equals a plus b, print sum. Yes. So now let's see. So it's giving me the addition of two values. Yes, it's giving me the added result of those two values. I'll keep both the screen together so that you can understand it much better. I'll keep both the screen together. So this is called assignment. This is called addition, arithmetic operator, wherein I can add two numbers together. I can do n number of things. That is what we are going to learn today. And after that, I'll give you some idea about data structure. Okay, so here it is. So now we have seen that by using plus, we can add two numbers. Other than that, we can have some other values, some other arithmetic operators. So say if I want to subtract two numbers. So subtraction equals b minus a, print subtraction. And I'm doing that. Can you see? It has performed the subtraction. It has subtracted the value which is assigned to b with the value assigned this. So I do have two values which I've assigned to a and b. The value which I've assigned to a is 10. The value which I've assigned to b is 20. Now we have seen the usage of sum and subtraction. Let's talk about some more arithmetical operators. So next comes is division. Next comes is division. So let's understand how division works. Now if I say C or multiply or division we're talking about, right? Division equals to B by A, and I'll say print division. Now what it does, see here it's giving me the division value. It's dividing B with A and it's giving me the division value. My question must come in your mind, what if now 20 is completely divisible by 10? So if I'm multiplying 10 twice, then it gives me the value 20. Now what if any number is not completely divisible by denominator? Then what you have to do in that case? So consider that A's value is 3 and B's value is 7. These are not at all divisible, right? A's value is B and B's value is 7. So what happens in that case? See here, it gives me decimal values also. Yes, it gives me decimal values also. Can I round it off? Can I round it off? So say consider that I do not need these many decimal values. I need to round it off to just two decimal values. So how to round it off? We can round it off by using a round function. So what we'll do, a round print division, or what you can do is you can use round function here itself. Division equals to d by a. You put this under a round function and you round it to two values. Yeah, let's run and let's see what it gets. Okay, it's rounding. Okay, just printing it. Not from here. Let's try it here. Round number. So here's the number, comma 2. Let's run it. Happening. What it says, type doesn't define a round method, none type. It's not accepting the value. Okay, what I'll do in that case is I'll say because it's taking type as null. So what I'll do is I'll use this and I'll say it as div1 equals, and now I'll try to round div1, round div1 with two decimal values. It's not accepting it. This. It should have accepted this value. It's not accepting. So what I can do here is, if I'll put a print function here, print a round of this, and let's try this. Div1 is not defined. This I don't have here, but this time error is different. See here, now it got changed. So now what I've done, it was taking all the null values, it was not accepting any values. So what happens basically, if I am just executing this script, if I'm just running my this script without the round function, let me see what happens, and let me talk about the differences also. We'll talk about the differences also. Okay, so now if I'm running this, what happens basically is it's giving me such a lengthy output. If you can see here, it's giving me such a lengthy output. 2.33333333 and 5. That's what the value it's giving. I do not wish to obtain this value. Rather than having this value, what I want is I want a kind of value with just two decimal places. I want to round it off because at many times it happens when we start working in production. Then I do not want to obtain huge number of decimal or iterative decimal values. For that, what we have to do is we have to cut that short. How to cut anything short? I'll cut anything short by putting a round function. So I'll print, and this time I'll keep it separate so that you can easily figure out the difference. Print, and now you round it, and you round it with two decimal values. Now you see the difference. Can you see here? Can you see here? It has just created it. It has just taken the integer value, and I put extra parentheses there. Now you see, so many things we can do, guys. So many things. Python is a very interesting thing. You will get more and more fun and more and more interest when you start learning and looking into Python. Okay, so let's move ahead. This is what with division. Yeah, this is what we can obtain with division. Now let's talk about our next value. See, the beauty of Python, you can do a number of mathematical calculations and number of arithmetic calculations. If you want to round it off for certain number of decimal values, you can do that as well. Now let's move to next section, wherein we are going to talk about the integer division, wherein we see how the integer division happens. So what you have to do in that case is, in that case again, do int div equals b by a. Now here I will use double slashes. So what it will do is, it is called integer division, and whenever I divide, it will basically give me only the integer value. So if I print it now, print and del, it will basically give me only the integer value. See here, now it's giving just the integer value to me. Actually, the value should be 2.3.6666666 and so on. But it's just giving me the integer value, which is the 3. 3 is the integer value, and whatever comes after decimal is considered as decimal value. If I just want to obtain the integer value, then what I'll do is I'll use the integer value sections here, like the way we have done, and we got the integer value section. Yeah. So this is what is called integer value. Next comes is the multiplication. Now let's talk about multiplication. So say multiplication equals b into a, and now print multiplication. Now what happens in this case? It will do multiplication for me, like the way you can see here. It is doing multiplication for me. Yes. Now let's move on to another part. So multiplication is done. Now let's talk about power. If I want to raise any value with the power. Now this is my, I'll make the number shorter so that we don't need to do much mathematical calculations. So I'll do 2 to the power 5. 2 to the power 5 is 32. So let's see what it basically does. So it's power equals a to the power b. So now print power. What it gives me is, see here, it's giving me the value. What it's considering, it's making it 2 to the power 5. Yeah, so double asterisk is considered as to the power. Like the way in mathematics, we do have to the power. So it's 2 to the power 5 is equals to 32. Okay, so now next comes as modulus. This is very important because you use modulus a number of times whenever you are practicing the codes. So what happens in modulus? Modulus basically gives you the reminder whenever you are dividing two numbers. You at times used to obtain the reminder, and depending on the reminder, you can interpret multiple values. So how to interpret, how to get the reminder out of any division by using modulus value. So here mod equals b a. This is the symbol for that. Now, what is the reminder? If I divide 5 by 2, 5 by 2, the reminder is 224, 2, right? So now print, the value should be 2. See, okay, what happens? A reminder is 1, I'm sorry. So quotient is 2, but the remainder is 1. So if I'm dividing 2 with 5, the remainder is 1. That's what it's giving me. It's telling me that the remainder is 1. So mod is the arithmetic operator which gives me the remainder of two different divisions. Now next comes is assignment operator. So here I have spoken about arithmetic operator for now. Next we'll go with assignment operator. We'll talk about assignment operator. Next is assignment operator. What are the assignment operators? Assignment operators is like if you are assigning value to certain variables, that is called assignment operator. Assignment operator is nothing but assignment of values to certain variables. That will be called as assignment operators. Now we can assign certain value to certain variables with certain operators which is equals to, which is which is with the symbol which is equals to. Now what is the beauty here? We can mix arithmetic operator with assignment operator. Now assignment operator is nothing but assigning a value to a variable. That is called assignment operator. Now if I have to mix arithmetic operator with assignment operator, that can also be done. So basically I can have minus equals to, I can have plus equals to, I can have multiplication equals to, I can have division equals to. I'm basically mixing arithmetic operators with assignment operators. And what is the usage of that? Let's see in demo. What is the usage of that? So now here I do have say two numbers. So a equals 3, equals 7. Consider we do have two numbers. So here what I'm doing basically is I'm assigning 3 to variable a, I'm assigning 7 to variable a. So this equals to is considered as assignment operator. Now what happens if I mix two, if I join, if I attach arithmetic operators with assignment operators? Let's see. A minus equals 3 or a minus equals 1, print a. And if you remember, what is minus in your machine? Minus is a hyphen. Yes, and minus is considered as a hyphen. What I said you in the beginning in the class when I was talking you about the features about a variable is minus is not a effective variable. We cannot consider minus or hyphen as a variable. We could have the variable, if you remember, we have already discussed this. We can have variables small a to small z, capital A to capital Z, underscore, and 0 to 9. We can have only these variables. That's it. We cannot have hyphen, which is also said to be minus, as a variable. Not possible. Let's see the answer. So now when I'm going to print enter here. I'm going to run the program. See here, it gives me the value as 2. Okay. Why it's giving the value as 2? Because a minus equals to 1 is nothing but it is a equals a minus 1. A minus equals to 1 is nothing but a equals a minus 1. Both are same. It makes my code more effective. It makes my code short. So because whatever you write, it occupies certain memory. So by writing this, you will save certain memory, because normally when you write in production, even a single bit save is like saving certain memory, and it will make your program more effective, more easy to look, more good to look, more easy to understand. That is the reason we write it in this fashion. Okay. So now you can not only do minus here, you can do anything. A plus. Now if I run this program, then what it's going to do? It's going to give me the output 4, because a plus 1 equals to a equals a plus 1. That is what it's doing. What if I multiply? But multiplication with 1 is nothing, right? So I'll do a multiply equals 1. So now this will be equals to a times a equals a multiply 2. What it should give me is the value is 6. Let's see. See here, it's giving me the value as 6. What if I divide a with 2? Then it's quite similar to a equals a by 2. And if I run this, then it's giving the value as 1.5. Yes. So these are the things we can mix and merge multiple arithmetic operators with assignment operator. So these are again another important feature. So now what you're seeing here, you are seeing you are putting everything in assigning certain value to A, then you are going to next line, you are assigning certain value to B. So when you are moving from one line to another line, basically you are occupying more memory of your PVM, more memory of your Python virtualized machine. Now if you want to save certain values, certain memory to your PVM, what you have to do is you have to assign multiple values in the same line. How can you assign multiple variables in same line? This can be done by using this methodology. So a comma b equals, if I want to assign two variables a comma b equals 10 comma 20. So if you take the respective value, first is assigned to first variable, second is assigned to second variable. Now, as you can see, I do have two variables, A, B, and two values, which is 10, 30. What is the usage for that? The usage of assigning the values to variables in this fashion will help me to save certain memory of my PVM. Because if I move from one line to another line, I'm occupying more memory. Rather than moving from one line to another line, what I'm doing is I'm assigning certain values to my variables in same line only. Yes, by doing that, I'm saving certain memory. Now, if I print A, I can do that. If I print B, I can do that. Just print, I'm just displaying, I'm just executing to show you. Actually, in production, you will never print the values which is assigned to a variable. Rather than that, you'll have to have your very big task to do. So here I'm saving certain memory by assigning values to the variables. Can you see here? So print A and B is taking the value which I've assigned, but this time I did not go and assign it in different lines. Rather than that, I'm creating and putting in the same line and displaying the value there itself. It is helping you save certain memory. Yes. Again, interesting topic in Python. And none other language gives me this option other than Python base. So now this is one operator. Next operator is a relational operator. Let's talk about that operator. A relational operator. Relational. What happens in case of a relational operator? In case of relational operator, we are going to deal with one very important thing, wherein we will try to relate something. We'll try to relate multiple things. Yeah. So in case if I want to compare two values, if I want to compare two values, say for example, it's a polling period. So consider that in order for any individual to be eligible for polling, individual's age should be greater than 18. Yeah. So now how will you make Python understand? How will you make your computer understand if my age is greater than 18 or not? For that, what I'll do is I'll use a relational operator. What are those relational operators? Is greater than is for greater than, less than is for less than. Yeah. And by this way we can understand. And here in relational operator, this gives me the default value as Boolean output. So if it's a relational operator, consider that if I have to compare my values, say if I went for polling and the operator, the polling booth operator, they asked me that if my age is greater than 18 or not. So what the reply will be? What will I say? If it's greater than 18, then I'll say yes, true. If it's less than 18, then it must give me the output as false. So the output is going to be always Boolean whenever we are using the relational operators. It cannot be anything other than Boolean. So whenever we are using relational operator, the output is going to be Boolean, which will be true or false. That's it. This is going to be the output whenever we are dealing with a relational operator. Let's see that, guys. Let's see that in practicals. Okay, we do have two values, A and B. So I will say that print or A is greater than B, and okay, A is greater than B. Let's see what output it gives. It is not giving me any output. I want to print this. Print. See here, it's giving me the Boolean output. What I'm doing is I am comparing, I am just bringing in the relational operator. I'm just trying to compare both the values which is assigned to these two variables A and B, and I'm saying that is A greater than B? It's saying false. No. Yes. And this you can use in multiple complex programs. We are going to see multiple complex programs which is based on these assignment operators. Multiple complex programs we are going to see in a session which is based on these assignments. So you need to know these things very well. So now if I have to print B greater than A, yes, it says true. Same thing, I'll work with false also. And if we want to make it more interesting, where is A greater than B. Yes, so this I can do. I can do this also. I'm just making it more interesting. I mean, more interesting to view. Okay, so this also I'm going to put is B greater than is B greater than A. Okay, so this is the second one. I will use or I'll copy both. I'll say is A lesser than B, then B A less than B, is A is B lesser than A. So here this. Now let's see the output, guys. Yeah, let's see the output. See here what it says. Is A greater than B? False. Is B greater than A? See the value. A is 10, B is 20. So is A greater than B? False. Is B greater than A? True. Is A lesser than B? True. Is B lesser than A? False. So yes, see I'm getting only the Boolean value. Yeah, I'm just getting the Boolean output. This is what I can achieve by using Python. So let's move on to our next conditions. And there are some more operators like logical operators, membership testing operator. We are going to talk about that later. Now coming to, let me just give you, this was important before we move into any of the data structures. That is why I want to give you this idea before I move into some other thing. Okay, so now let's get into our different, so this will be quite theoretical for today. Today we are going to see some of the other data structures, which is list, tuple, dictionary, set, and data type conversion. It's going to be mostly theoretical. So list, what is a list? Say consider that, say you went to a shopping mart, and there you have to purchase multiple items, multiple grocery items, some clothes, some accessories. You have to some electronic accessories you have to purchase for yourself. So when you went to a market, you have prepared a list for yourself. Yes, you have prepared a list for yourself. Okay, you have prepared a list for yourself. You want to purchase certain clothes, you want to purchase certain trousers, certain t-shirt, tops, you want to purchase rice flour, you want to purchase some other things, some cereals you want to purchase, you want to purchase headphone, you want to purchase mobiles, you want to purchase multiple things. I mean, these are like group of different items which you have created, which you have created a list of when you went to shopping mart, right? When you went to shopping mall, you have created a list of these all items, right? So now consider a situation. This is called list, when you're grouping multiple components together, multiple elements together. This is called list. Now consider a situation that you went to the market and you felt as if, no, trouser is not that good. I'll go with jeans. Yeah, trouser is not good, I'll go with jeans, or I'll go with cargos. Yeah, so you are just modifying your existing list, and you are adding certain new values to the elements in your existing list. That is also possible in list, wherein you can customize, you can make changes on your list in runtime. At any point of time you can make changes in the list. So what is basically list? As you can see, list is the heterogeneous collection of data. What are those heterogeneous collection of data? Consider that if you're working for an organization. Now, whenever you're working for an organization, you will have multiple employees working for that organizations. Yes, so multiple organizations must be working. So if I have to create a list corresponding to each of the employee, what I'll do, I'll say name, address, say age, employee number, multiple other details we can put in there, right? Multiple details we can put in there. So these are like different heterogeneous value. So name is a string, age is a number, your address may be number and a string both. Yes, so these are combination of different kind of data, data which are like integer, data which is like string. So what is list? I'll repeat it, guys. List is heterogeneous collection of data. It can be numbers, it can be strings, it can be Boolean, it can be anything. So that is what list is. Okay, so list is exactly slides contain same details which I'm talking about. What is tuple? Now, what is going to be in tuple? I'm going to take you through the demo of these in our upcoming session, guys. But for now, I just want to give you some idea about what these things are. What happens in tuples? In tuples, consider certain values when you're working for an organization you do not want to alter, or you do not want anybody to disturb. Consider that you are working in a banking environment. Now, will you wish to alter your account number, which is mapped to your name? Never, right? Never, never, never. So these things are put in tuples. So the values which you do not want to alter at any condition, you do not want to modify the value at any condition, whatever wrong happens, you do not want to alter the value, those values you'll put in tuples, because account number to any person name is never going to change in the lifetime of person. If any account number is created, that will remain till you live, till your account lives. Yes, you never want to change it. Those values which I never want to change, I'll put in tuple. Those values which I want to customize, which I want to modify, consider that I was giving you the example of employee names. So employee name, age, address. It may happen that tomorrow the employee shifted to a new location. You may alter the address. The age of the employee changed next year. You want to alter the age of employee next year. Yes. So you want to modify the values. This you can put in list, but you never want to change the account details or the PF details or the unique IDs, which is the which is the security number. You do not want to alter it at any point of time. This is like once in a lifetime, right? So those values will put in tuples. So that is what tuple is. Another thing is string. Now you know what is string. String is nothing but this is like normal general English which we write. That is called string. We are going to see the values, the activities on these things in our upcoming sessions in very detail. Set. Set is like if you want to create the unique values. For example, consider that you went for higher studies. Yeah, you went for higher studies to Stanford University or Harvard University. You went for higher studies. Now, Dean came and Dean asked how many candidates are from India. So, like, say 50 students raised hand. Dean again asked how many students are from United States. So, like, 200 students raised hand. And again, Dean asked how many students are from some other country, say UK. Then again, 100 students raised a hand. So basically, I do have three groups of students now. 50 students from India, 200 students from US, and 100 students from United Kingdom. This, so three different group of students are there. And in total, the count of student is 200 plus 100 plus 50, which is 350. Yes, but I want to save only the unique values which is assigned to each of the student. What is the unique value which is assigned to 50 students who came from India? Country. Country India is the unique value. 200 students from US. Country US is the unique value. 100 students from UK. Country UK is the unique value. Yes. So if I want to save the unique value, out of the repeated values, if I'll say 1 India, 2 India, 3 India, till 50 India, 1 US, 2 US, 3 US, till 200 US, 1 UK, 2 UK, 3 UK, till 100 UK, it will unnecessarily increase the length of my program. It will unnecessarily increase the length of my list. I do not want to do that. I just want to save the unique value. For that, what I'll do is I'll create the unique value in form of set. So set basically helps me to create unique value by removing the repeated values, which we have seen in our example. Now next is dictionary. In dictionary, what happens? We will assign the key value pair. What is the key value pair now? Now I was explaining you the example of employee which is present, which is working in an organization. The employee can have multiple keys. Name is one key. Say name, one key. Say name, Austin, one key is there. I'll say again another thing. What I'll say is uh, the country which Austin belongs. Fine, US. Again, another value. Again, another key value I can take. Okay, some other values I can put in there, right? Multiple values are there. So like employee ID, one key value, employee ID which is assigned to Austin, and I can assign Austin profile of Austin. Is he a developer? So this is the key. Is he a developer? True. This is the values which I can assign to certain keys. So whenever I'm defining certain key value pair, certain value in which is preceded by keys, that will fall under dictionary. Dictionary has very big role to play in Python. We'll see more and more about dictionary in our upcoming session days. Data type conversion, I've already shown you the data type conversion from string to integer. We'll see how it changes from integer to string also. So today we are going to learn about statements. Now in Python, statements are of various kinds. Statements are basically three kinds in Python. We are going to learn about statements today. So three different kind of statements which we are going to learn in Python will be conditional statements. Second will be iterative statements, and third type will be jump statements. These are basically three kind of statements which we are going to learn in Python. Conditional statements. What are basically conditional statements? Conditional statement, in today's class we are going to talk more and more about conditional statements. As what you can see in my screen is nothing but it's a conditional statement. What it says, if it is true then do something, if it is false then do something. Yes. So what it says, if true, then do something. If not, then do something. So what we do basically in terms of Python, we make it if and else. So if true, then do something, else do something. So instead of saying if something, if it's true, then do something. If it's not true, then do something. If it's not true, then do something. We make it if and else, wherein if something, under if we put certain conditions, certain statements. Under else we put certain condition, certain statements. So how that can be done? Under conditional statements, we do have different kind of conditions. We do have if else, we do have if elif, else. Under iterative statement, we have for and while. Under jump statement, we have break, continue, and return. These are basically the three types of statement which is present there in Python: conditional, iterative, and jump statements. In conditional statement, we do have the concept of if else, if elif else. In iterative statements, we do have the concept of for and while. In jump statements, we do have the concept of break, continue, and return. So these are three different kind of statements which you are going to learn in Python. So now let's start with if statement. What are if statement? As I said, if is just a conditional statement which you can see. If this is true, then do something. If not, then do something. So let's write certain program for that, and let's see how basically it's going to work. Yeah, we'll see. We'll write the program, and we'll see how it's going to work. For that, I will log it to idle, and okay, my idle is loaded. Now I'll save it. Documents. Suppose Python and this and this is file 1120. Okay, so this is going to be the file which we will use. Now I'm going to write conditional statements, some program for conditional statements. So what I'll do is I will make it a kind of case study here. So I'll write a program to take input from user, or take age input from user, and tell whether user is eligible to vote. This is my case study. This is my problem. I have to take user input and I have to tell whether user is eligible to vote or not. Yes, this is what I have to do. I have to write a program for that. So first let's understand the logic here, guys. First, let's understand the logic. So the minimum age which a person should have in order to vote is 18 years. Minimum age must be 18 years. So what we'll do is, let's understand the logic first. We will take user input. Now we'll try to compare if the user input is at least greater than or equals to 18. Yes, this is going to be my logic. If the user input is greater than equals to 18, then the person is eligible to vote. Otherwise, the person is not eligible to vote. This is going to be my condition. Now let's write the program for that. So I'm taking an input. For input, I'll make input function user age is this. Now I'll write certain conditional statement. If age is greater than equals to, yes, if age is greater than equals to, that's what my condition says. If age is greater than equals to 18, print eligible vote. That's what I want to do. I just want to print eligible to vote if the person age is greater than, sorry for spelling mistake. If the person age is greater than 18, greater than equals to 18, then I want to say that person is eligible to vote. Now let's run it. Let's run it. So it's asking for the user age. I'm giving 7. It's saying that it's not supported between the instances of string and integer. Yes, can you see? I intentionally have done that in order to show you something. See here what you are getting. You are getting that my conditional statements, which is if doesn't work, or the symbols which you are using, which is like relational operators. We have worked on relational operators yesterday, right? So the relational operator doesn't work when we are trying to bring the relation in between string and integer. Now the value which we have inputted is 7. Yes, the value which I have given is 7. Now what I'm doing is, what I'm saying is the age, which is now input function by default will take a string value, right? So now when I'm providing the value to user input as 7, it's a string. It's not considered as an integer because input by default takes integer value, sorry, string value in. So in order to mitigate that, what I'll do is I will write integer. In order to mitigate this, what I'll do, I will write integer. This is what I'm going to do. Now when you run it, let's put the value 7. See here, it's not giving me any output. Now let's run it again and let's give some value which is greater than equals to 18. I want to show you something. That's why I'm executing the code like this, guys. I'm giving the age as 29 or 20, eligible to vote. So now, depending on the conditional statement which I have given, it's telling me that if the age is greater than 18, I'm eligible to vote. But what is happening here? If the age is less than 18, then it's not giving me any output. It's giving me the prompt back and it's exiting from the code. I do not want to do that because in real time, if you are making an app, if you're developing some app, you do not want app to terminate just because your condition is not satisfied. Yes, you do not want your app to terminate just because your condition is not satisfied. Rather than that, what you want to do is, even though my condition is not satisfied, I should get some printed value, some output. As of now, what is happening when I've given the user age as 7, since the condition is not met, is 7 greater than equals to 20? No. Or 18? No, right? 7 is not greater than or equals to 18. Yes. So what is happening in that case? In that case, it's exiting. It's not giving me any output. It's just exiting out of the code. I do not want to do that. Yes, I do not want to do that. Rather than doing that, what I want to do is, doesn't matter whatever value I'm inputting to the variable age, it should give me certain output. In order to do that, what it will do is we will use if else conditional statement. So as of now, what we have seen the conditional statement, which is if. In if, it's just one side of the coin. You do not know what is the other side of coin. In order to know both the sides, what we'll do is we'll use if else. If is for the condition when it's satisfied, when the condition is true, and else is at the place where condition is not satisfied. Yes, in that case, or when it's the boolean false, at that time we should get the value, at that time we should get the output as not eligible to vote in our example. So let's do that part also, guys. So now what I want to do is I want to write one else statement. So what I'll say, else print not eligible Okay, so this is what I'm getting. Now what my this script will do, let's run it and let's see what it's going to do. Now this time I'll give 7. See here guys, it's nothing like it's giving me the prompt back, rather it's giving me certain output. It says that not eligible to vote. Yes, now if I'll give the age as 18 or greater than 18, then it will tell me that it will give me the necessary output. So I'm just executing the running it. Age is say 32. Okay, so what it says, eligible to vote. Depending on the input which I'm passing on, it gives me the appropriate output. Yes, so this is called, this is one of the example of if else condition. Now I'll make this program more complicated. We can use other values also, but why it has given me error here is because input as a function will always give me the string value, and I was trying to compare, I was trying to create a relation in between string and integer. That is why it gave me this error, and I intentionally wanted to show you. That's why I did not put integer in front of the value. Okay, let's move on now. Let's move on to our next step. So this one is clear, and now I will use relational operator, not with please. Okay, done. Now this time what I want to do is, I do not want to put, let's not indent. I'm not indenting it this time. Fine. Now if I run it, see here what it says. It's expected as indented block. Indentation is very much important. Okay, so next comes, we'll start working on the conditional or the relational operator, not with integers this time, but with strings. So let's do that. For that, I will use a case study. A case study is write a program to enter a code user to enter a code from user, and now we have to do some manipulation in it. Now enter a code from user and do below activities. What are the activities you want to perform? I want to perform the first activity. If, consider if code entered is B, print black. Okay, so these are the things it's going to do. If the code which I've entered is B, then you have to print black. Next is if code is W, print white. These are the different things which I want to do. I want to write a code and want to do following steps. If I'll enter the code as B, then you have to print black. If user enters the input as W, then print white. Let's make it more complicated. Let's make it more complicated. If code is G, print green. Okay, so these are the three things which you have to get an output of. Now let's see that how it basically works, how this kind of code generally works. In order for this code to work, what we have to do is we have to create if else or if elif statements. How we can do that? Okay, now let's write a program for that, guys. Let's write a program for that. Say code equals to input, code equals to input function, enter user code. Okay, so enter user code. Now what I'm going to do is, as per my condition, if code equals to B or B, then if code equals to B, in that case what you have to print? You have to print black. Yes, so print. Okay, so it is going to print me black. Okay, so this is going to be my, now let's see how it basically is going to work. Okay, so this is the way we are. Next thing is, okay, so this is the code. Now I have to write another code also in the same block, and that another code is going to be if code equals to W, then print. Okay, then I have to print white. Yes, these are the various values which I can define in Python. Now here what I'm doing, I'm just telling Python that if the value is B, then give me the output as black. If the value is W, then give me the output as white. Now let's run and let's see what it does.
Let's run and let's see what it does. Does it actually perform the task which it is supposed to or not? Let's see that. Enter the user code here, guys. You give user, okay. Let me just remodify the code because it doesn't look that good. I'll remodify code is w, then print this. So now I will run the program again, and this time it's asking me for code. Can you see here? It gives me the output as black. Now if I'm running it again and I'm giving the input as W, see here, white. So see, this time it's not working only on the integer values, rather than that it's working this time on string values. I can call string values as well in my Python code. That is also possible. That can be very much easily possible with Python. Now here I want to introduce one more statement which is if elif. Yes, which is if elif. Now I will give a situation to you guys and I want you guys to interpret it. If code is G, then print green. Let's do that. Here I'm going small b. What it says? Nothing. It says nothing because small b is not a variable. Yes, my variable is, as I've defined, it's capital B. It's not small b, but I can make it case insensitive also. We are going to talk about that also, that part also. It will be interesting. We'll talk about that. But as of now, you're not getting any out. But in case if you would have given, in spite, you would have given capital B. In case you would have given capital B, that will give you black. Now I'm going to write one code, guys, and I want you to give me answers. If this, now I will use else print wrong code. Right? Now I'm going to run this code, guys. Now you see here, I did not use only if, but I've used if else statement also. I've used else statement also. Yes. Now I'm going to run it. And now you tell me, guys, if I'll give B as an input, what will be the output? Will it give only black? What do you think? Will it give only black? I'm going to press enter now. See what it says. Okay, what happened? I'll just give capital B, and now you see what happens. It gave me black, but after that, what it gave? It gave a wrong code also. So what is happening here is when I'm giving B, capital B as an option, then it's printing what comes next when the condition is satisfied, which is black. But now what is happening is my Python code goes from top to bottom. It went to second if condition. It tried to check is B equals to W. It says no, nothing, no issues. It went to third, which is G, and it tried to match if B is equals to G. It says no, it's not. Now the third if condition is actually a complete condition, which is if else. Now first condition is incomplete, it's just F. Second condition is also incomplete, it's just if. But third condition is a complete condition, which is if else. Now my B is trying to tally with capital G. It says it first asking if capital B equals to capital G. Answer is no. Since it says no, the output which it's printing is wrong code. So first it's tallying only with B, it's giving me black, fine. But it's going down the code, it's trying to compare with G, it says B is not equal to G, and it's giving me the output as wrong. Did you get it, guys? Did you understand why it's giving me wrong code also? So now if I'll give G, then what happens? It's just giving me green. It's not giving me any other output. But now if I'll give W, it tells me that wrong code. Yes, because as I said, if else is a complete loop, there is a method we can mitigate this. We can resolve this problem. So hope you understand the problem. Yeah, hope you understand the problem. I do not want wrong code as an output, but it's giving me the wrong code as an output. This is a problem. So now let's talk about the solution. What is going to be the solution? There you will have another kind of conditional statement, which is elif, which is going to be elif conditional statements. Let's see what elif does. Elif. And now I will make this also elif. Else this. So now each of the condition is a complete condition. So elif is like combination of if and else both. So elif will fix my problem. Let's run it and let's see how it fixes. Now this time I'll give W. What it says? Only while. Now this time it's not giving me the wrong code. Again I'll execute the code. This time I'll give option is B and it's still giving me black. It's not giving me the wrong. Yes, because each of my condition is a complete condition now. Previously, my all the ifs of all the first two ifs were not complete, but the last if else was a complete state. But what was the complete statement? And hence it was giving me a problem. Is it clear to everyone, guys? What if it's I'm giving lowercase b every time I'm giving capital B? What if I'm giving lowercase b? Can I make it case sensitive free? I do not want to stick with case sensitivity. I want to make it case insensitive. How can I do that? In order to do that, we do have certain other conditions, certain other statements, certain other attributes which we can add. Now, in order to make it case insensitive, what I'll do is I'll say if code equals to capital or small b. Now this time I want to make it case insensitive. In order to make case insensitive, see what I'm doing. I'm saying that if code is capital B or small b, give me same output, just black. If code is capital W or small w, capital W or small w, give me white. If code is capital G or small g, give me green. Now I'll make it case insensitive. Now you run it. This time I'll give small b. See here, it's still giving me black. Next, I will try to give small g. And see, still it's okay. Why small g is giving me green? Why small g is giving me black? Code is equals to what happened? Small g still giving me black. That's funny. If code equals to b, black, w, small b, white. If code equals to g, print green or print wrong window. Let me just try to print something else. Okay, I'll give small w. Still, it's giving me black. It's holding black in buffer. Whatever input I'm giving, it's accepting it as black only. If code is this, print black, fine. And if code is w or small w, print it this. Okay, okay. What is happening here is after or if I'll give some anything, then it's considering that only it seems. Now if I give small g, then it's considering white. Yeah, I got it. So what is happening guys, whenever we use or, we cannot put multiple condition in the same code, because what happens whenever we are writing or, automatically anything which comes after that or will fall under all or category only. So now if I'm writing or at this place or at this place, what it's basically doing is it's saying capital B or small b, it's saying capital W or small w, it's saying capital G or small g, always print black. Yes, that is what it's doing. So whenever I'm using or at that time, it's by default accepting the value which I have written in the first place for the first time. Yes, this is what happens when we put or. Okay, that is one of the disadvantage of using or in your if condition. Yeah, so just practice these things guys, that's what I'm saying. Just you just need to practice these things, then only then you'll be perfect in this. Okay, so now this is all about if conditions. Now let's go to our slides and let's understand what we do have in our slides. So in our slides, like the way you can see here, if condition, and if condition is like, if the number is greater, we have tried to put in the values, certain values, and we have tried to put in certain relational operators. Yeah, so this is what I'm obtaining here. Next is the usage of if and if else statement. So what it says is if this, then do this, else do this. Yes, if this, then do this, else do this. See, this is the structure of only if statement. If true, then do this. If not, then I do not have any condition, any statement for that. But if else do have two values with it. If true, then do this. If false, then do this. We have seen that in our example also. Okay, we have seen this example also. Now elif. Elif is the short for else if. It allows us to check for multiple expressions. But elif do have certain limitations in it. Yeah, elif do have certain limitations in it, which we have seen, which we have discussed. Yeah, so those we are going to talk more and more about elif and these conditions in our upcoming sessions. So we have seen this part also. So if this, then do this, elif do this, else do this. What I have shown you the caveat, the drawback also of using elif. If I'm not putting elif properly, then the last condition will be considered as a complete condition, and other statements will give me some error output, some kind of extended output it will give me. Okay, now there is something called nested if statement. So I can call if within if. So what happens in nested if conditions? We can have one condition within another condition, like the way you can see here. Here I've tried to call the relational operator by using num as a variable and making num greater than equals to 0. Now if num equals to 0, then print 0, else print certain positive number, else print negative number. So what we are basically doing here is, let me just show you. Let's write that code. What we are basically doing here is say num equals to, I'm taking integer value because I have to use the comparison part, input, and within this I'll say enter number. Okay, enter a number. Now here what I want to do is I want to first create one condition, which is if num is greater than equals to 0. This is what I have done. Now I am giving two values to here. Num could be equals to 0 or num could be greater than 0. So now I'll use nested if. What basically I mean when I say nested if, I mean to say that if within if. So if num equals 0, then now you see I'm calling if within if, and see the indentation here guys. Print it's 0. Yeah, print it's 0. Cool. Now I'll say I can use else also in this case, else print, or if you do not want to use else, there is another method you can use, if also. If num is greater than 0, print it's positive. Okay, it's positive. Okay, so now here it says that if number is greater than equals to 0, then I may have two conditions. If number equals to 0, then print it's 0. If number is greater than 0, then print it's positive. Now what if number is not greater than equals to 0? And that I'm going to put in else statement. Else statement. Else print, yes, else print negative. Now you run the code. Okay, this is wrong. If number is equals to 0. Now you run it, enter the number, say it's 0. Then what it says, it's 0. So now if the number is greater than equals to 0, say I'm putting as, again running the code, and I'm saying it's 6, then it's positive. Now what if I'm making it less than 0? I will run it again and I'll make it, sorry, and I'll say this time -5. See here, it says it's negative. Yes, did you understand this thing, guys? I have created a nested loop, nested condition. A condition within a condition is called nested condition. So this is how nested condition works. Okay, so in this case, what we are doing is, instead of creating multiple if and if else's, I am putting two ifs in one single if. Now what is happening is the num equals to 0 is actually inheriting primary condition, which is num greater than equals to 0. You cannot write if num is less than 0 because it's nested, and the parent is num must be greater than equals to 0. That is why it's called nested. We have completed the nested. Today we'll talk about loops, which is for loop, while loop, break loop, continue, and pass. We'll talk about more and more about these loops, what each of the various parameter is doing, each of the various attributes are doing. We'll learn that part today. And let's see that. Let's see how it works. So why we basically loop across things. Just let me give you some idea about that. We loop if I want to traverse across multiple elements of a list or of a tuple. At that time, I would like to create a loop so that I can traverse across multiple statements, multiple elements of a list. At that time, I'll go with the loop. Yeah? I'll give you some ideas, some very good ideas about looping and all. So let's start with certain example. Always remember, guys, if you want to traverse across multiple elements of a list, at that time I gave you already some idea about list and tuple. I'll give you more and more idea about list and tuples. What I'll do is I will, on the basis of the idea which I gave you on list and tuples, I will start creating certain code wherein I'll use loop. So let me just first open my idle thing. Okay, idle is open. Now let's save it. Now I want to write a program to find even number even number in a list of numbers. List of numbers. This is what I want to do. I want to write a program to find even number in a list of numbers. Now you pay attention here, guys. This will be the problem. This will be the thing which you need to pay attention upon. So what you will do in that case, what I said is loop. What loop is? Loop is used basically to traverse across multiple elements of a list, yeah, or of a tuple. So now let's create a list. Say we do have numbers. This is the program which I'm writing now. I'm writing a program to find even numbers in a list of numbers. So what I'm doing now, I do have certain programs. I'll show you multiple usages of this. Yeah, I'll show you multiple usages of this. First is this. So I do have various list of numbers: 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, 18. I do have these many numbers with it. Now, out of these numbers, we have to understand which number is even. What will I do to check if the number is even or not? So, what happens when a number is completely divided by 2? Basically, you will get reminder as 0. This is the logic. This is because computer, you cannot make computer understand number is divided by 2. What if number is divided by 2? What happens if number is divided by 2? I mean, 100 is also divided by 2, 50 is also divided by 2. How my computer will understand what is happening? I mean, to whom I will decide even numbers? I mean, that's actually a tough task for a computer. Think from computer's perspective. Computer will understand if I'm getting reminder as 0, I'll set a even number. If a reminder is not 0, it's not a even number. Simple, nothing other than that. So this is the logic. Every program will be built only on the base of logic. So in our class, we'll learn how to build logic. Automatically, if you can build logic, you can write program. So now what happens is I want to traverse across each element of this list and I have to say that the number is even or not. For that what I'll do, I'll say for each in numbers, now what it will do is it will traverse across each element in this list. It will traverse across this. Again, what it will do is if each modulus 2 equals to 0, if each modulus 2 equals to 0, if this is the condition, that means a reminder is 0. What does modulus do? Modulus will decide the reminder value, right? So what I'm saying is if each is divided by 2, then reminder is coming 0. So if each modulus 2 equals to 0, print even, else print odd. Yes, else print odd. Now what it will do is for will traverse across each element. Now I want to do certain calculations on each element in order to find if a number is even or not. I'll try to divide each of the number by 2. If the remainder is 0, then it's even. If it's not 0, then it's odd. If you understand the program, you understand the logic. So now what is happening? It is telling me that, okay, I'll make it more interesting. Print each comma even, print each comma odd. Now you see what it does. Okay. Now it says 12 is even, 13 is odd, 14 is even, 15 is odd, 16 is even, 17. Blah, blah, blah. So like that way, it's telling me. Yes, actually it is true. Yeah, because I have given certain logic. Now let's make this infinite. Okay, so how you will make any of the function infinite? You can make any of the function infinite by using a range function. By using a range function, I can make any of the condition, any of the list infinite. Yeah, I can do that very much easily. So what I'll do now is I'll use a range function, and by using the range function, I'll make my list infinite so that whenever it's traversing across each element, I mean, in the range function, I'll put the end limit as huge so that it will keep going and it may take huge amount of time for the list to complete and for the task to finish. So let's see how it is actually going to do. In that case, I use the range function and I'll say you start from 1 and you go till 9. Fine. I am giving this condition. Now for each in numbers, for each in numbers, you do this. Now you run it. See here what is happening. Can you see here what is happening? It's not stopping, right? It's going. So what was stopping my program was the list itself. Where the list ends, there only my program stops. I can stop it in between also by using break statement. We'll talk about that. Now we'll do some more interesting stuff. Now I want you to give me certain logic. Now write a program to add number 5 to each element in list. So you have a list of numbers. So numbers equals, numbers is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Fine. This is a number. You have to add 5 each element in list. 17, 18. You write a program to add 5 to each number, each element in list. Fine. That you will do. So when you are adding 5, where you have to again put it back in the list. You have to again create a list. See here, you simply no need to write, because here what it's doing is when I had to get the value, if it's even or odd, it's giving me output in this manner. It's not a list, right? If you are writing print each plus 5, then it will add, but it will not form the list for you. Let's try doing that for each in numbers, and you want print each plus 5. Yes. Yeah, but it's good. It's correct, but it's not forming the list. See, it's not forming the list. It's adding, but it's not forming the list. I want to form a list. Once it's added, I want to form a list also. So how you will form a list? In order to form a list, you will have to start with one empty list. So now you have to start with new list equals to one empty list. See, this is empty list. Now what I'm doing is for each in numbers, I will save this to each again. Each equals to, or each plus equals to 5. You remember we have done this when we were doing that arithmetic operators. So I'm using the same thing again here. So what I'm doing is for each in numbers, each plus. So now what I'm doing is I am adding this for each in numbers, each plus equals to 5. Now I have to add these values to new list, which is the empty list. For that, I'll use one function which is called append function. Now what I'll do is I'll add these elements of each into new list. So what I'll do is new list dot append, and I'll put each in it. So now what I'm doing is I'm adding each to this empty list by using a function which is called append. So append function is trying to add each of the element, each of the added element, which we formed here into this empty list. Now after that, what I do is I will print each, and now you run it. See what happens. Okay, what happened? Why it's just printing the last element? For each numbers, each plus. Okay, print each. Okay, sorry. Print new list should be there, right? Print a new list. See here what it's doing. Can you see the difference in this output and this output, guys? Yeah, this is forming a list. And how it's forming a list? Because I'm pushing here, I have added 5 to each element of this list. And after that, I put it in an empty list, which is new list. And now I am printing the new list, and it gave me the new list, which is having 5 added to each element. Yes, is it clear? I will try to show you each step how it's proceeding. Now you see. Can you see here what is happening now? I have shown you the step, how it's proceeding. See, this is what happening. First, 5 got added to 12. Now, once 5 got added to 12, it became a part of my new list. Next, again, it went to 13. 5 got added to that, it became a part of the list. Next, 14 got added. Next, 15 got added. 16, 17, and my last is 18. So this is what it's happening. This is what append is doing. Append is adding each element at the end of the list. So now let's move to, so this is what my for loop will do. This is what my for loop will do. We'll see about for loop a number of times in our session, guys. We have to talk a lot about for loop in our session. So this is what for loop does. So you understand for loop now, the same thing which I have shown you. Now let's talk about while loop. What happens basically in while loop? Now while loop doesn't allow my program to terminate. I'll start with an example. Okay, consider that you went to a grocery shop. When you went, you have seen certain offer which is released by the owner of a grocery shop. Okay, so you just called your home and you said that these items, this item is there, this item is there, this item is there, this item is there. Should I take it? Then in return you got, okay, fine. You take this, also you take this, also you take this, also you take this, also you take this. And after that, at the end, you will listen, that's it. Fine. So that's it, a kind of, that's it is a kind of string which says stop. Do not move after that. Before that's it, what it said is take this, take this, take this, take this, take this, and take this. So these take this, take this, take this are the various components which you need to purchase. Where you have to stop, you have to stop when you hear that's it. Yes, so that is a kind of pause for you, that is a kind of stop for you. When you hear that's it, you are stopping. So you have to write a program for that. So how you will write a program for that? Let's understand the logic first. So write a program to add certain value, to keep adding, to keep adding certain values list till you hear stop. Yes, till you hear stop. This is what you have to do. How you will do this? You can do by using while loop. Let's say it in demo. Did you understand the condition, guys? What we have to do? So what happens is, consider that you went to a pizza shop. Okay, you went to a pizza shop, and then pizza guy, what he is doing is he's accepting your order. Now he asks, what are the elements you want to put on the pizza top? You will say, I want onions, I want garlic, I want some other things, some other things, some other things, some other things. And at the end, what you'll say? You will say, that's it. Now, pizza guy, as he listens, that's it. He'll say, fine, sir, your order is taken. So there, the program which is running on the computer of pizza guy stops. As the pizza guy listens, that's it from you. The program which is running on the computer of pizza guy stops. But prior to that, he's accepting all your values. He's taking, he's adding all the values. He's adding all your orders. This is why we need to keep adding certain values, and we need to stop when you hear stop. So now let's start. Let's do this time. Okay, now let's write a program for this. How to write a program for this? For this, what I'll do is I will again create one empty list. Say item underscore list. Yes, item underscore list. I'll create one empty list. Now I'll take items equals input, enter value of item. See, if you understood the condition, you can easily understand the logic also. Now I said it needs to keep adding till I'm hearing stop. Okay, so while item is not equals to stop, not equals to stop, what you do is, again I am putting indentation because while also takes indentation. So while item is not equal to stop, till the time item is not considered as stop, you keep adding. Now what you have to do to keep adding, you have to use append function. So what you have to do is item underscore list dot append items. Yes, append items. Cool. So now what you have to do is, again you have to start, you have to call the same statement here, because once it's entering to while loop, it won't be able to come out. So this is what you have to do. Then at the end, what you have to do is print item. Let me just first complete item underscore list. Let me just first execute it. After that, I'll explain you. Okay. So now what is happening? Okay, I did not comment. Now I'm running this code. See here, now you have to enter certain value of item. So you went to grocery shop. So you have to purchase trouser. You have to see it's adding. It's not terminating. You have to add. You have to purchase trouser. You have to purchase shirts. You have to purchase wallet. You have to purchase perfume. You have to purchase watch, and you have to purchase wireless earphone. Yes. Now when I tell, okay, fine, I'm done, stop. Now what I'm doing is I will type stop. And now you see what is happening. It's came out. And now it created, okay, fine, these are the items you need to purchase. You need to purchase trousers, shirt, wallet, perfume, watch, and wireless earphone. See, it created a list for me. It's continuing till the time I'm not passing stop. As I pass stop, created a list for me. Isn't it interesting? So this is what while loop does. Okay. So here it's the same example with different program is there. You may go through this slide and you can see it's the same thing but different program. Now we'll jump into brick statement. Let's talk about brick statement. Now I will comment this. So now consider that you do have multiple names. I'll come to exactly, I'll do what you're saying. Write a program to terminate my session as it hears, which I don't like. Okay, red John. Okay, as it here red John, it must come out. It must terminate my session. This is what the condition is. Okay, so now what I'll do is I will start creating my list. So let's create the list of names, or I'll create two interesting things. First is, okay, names equals, let's start creating list. Derek, Mavis, Patrick, Joe, and Olivia, and then Parker, then I'll put Rejon, and then I put Parker. Fine. So this is my list of names. Now what I want to do is I want my program to terminate as it listens Rejon. Yeah. So now let's see how to do that. Now what I'll do is for each in names, if each equals to Rejon, break. And now after that I want a remaining names. If each, okay, sorry, I should have used identification. Let's create this break. Yes, now you print each. Now let's see first what it does, then I'll explain it. Okay, now you see what it does. I am pressing enter. See, it's printing till Olivia. It's not printing Rejon. Can you see here? It's not printing Rejon. It's stopping at Olivia only. Yes. So what exactly it's doing? It's going through each element of my list, which is names. And as each is finding the name is Rejon, it's breaking. It's terminating the program, and it's printing all the elements which is before Rejon. Now I will use the same name. These are the names. Now I'll use this time I'll put the names as friend names. So Red John is not my friend, but these guys are my friend. So what I want to do is whenever I hear Red John, I'll ignore it. I'll say, no, you are odd, or you are odd man, you're not my friend. Okay. So now for that, what I'll do is I'll say if, or I'll say for each in friend names, if each equals to Red John, if each is equals to Red John, then continue. Now print each. Now you see what it does. Can you see here? It has printed all the names other than Red John. Just make it even better. Okay, see here. What it is doing now is it is printing everything other than Red John. So as it listens Red John, it's ignoring it. See here. As it listens Red John, it's ignoring it. It's printing everything other than Red John. So this is what we can achieve by using continue. So this is what we can achieve, guys. Okay. So now this can be done. You understood break, you understood continue. Okay, pass statement. Okay, pass is like, something if you want to ignore, then you will use pass. Like pass, if you want to ignore something, basically you will use pass. Like you want to ignore something, so it will give pass, and you'll just come out of the loop. I mean, you'll completely come out of the loop. Okay, so it's like you want to pass it, you want to completely come out of the loop. Basically you will use pass. Yeah, so let's do that. I mean, let's write the same code which it is present there. Pass do have very less role to play. I mean, if you want to completely ignore something, you will pass. So I'll use this. I'll comment these 3 lines, and now I'll write pass. I'll write for each in this pass. Now you see what it is. See, it's just coming out of the loop. Did you see it? Pass is just used to come out of the loop. That's it. Nothing. Pass doesn't have more functionality. If you do not want to consider this loop at all, you will use pass. Pass is like you want ignoring. I mean, normally in our day-to-day life also, we pass things if you want to ignore it, right? So it's like pass is used for that purpose only. It has very less role to play. Okay, so now I'll show you something. I'll mix multiple things. I will call this break into some things. Let's see that. Now let's create a group. Let's mix things. Let's make things more complicated. So let's create a group. Group equals to empty list. Now I'll mix while and break together. I'll mixing things. Now let's see while true. So now while will keep my loop running. While will not let my loop stop. Okay. So while true, user input equals to input, all input function, enter user value. Yes, enter user value. Now I have to stop my program also. While will keep, you saw while, right? It's like it will go to infinity. If you're not giving a proper condition, it will go to infinity. So now I have to stop it somewhere. So how to stop? User input equals to say quit. Say user input equals to quit, or I'll use multiple. Somebody was asking, can I use multiple things? So let's do that. User input equals to stop, or user input, or user input equals to anything. Say small q. I'm making case. So here I'm showing you multiple things. I'm showing you case sensitive. I'm showing you case insensitive. I'm using multiple statements for that, multiple strings for that. Q or user input equals to capital Q. See, I'm making case insensitive also. If it's true, then break. Yes, then break and terminate the loop. Come out of the loop. Now else group dot append user input. Right? Now print group. Now let's see. I have mixed multiple things here. I am mixing condition. I'm mixing or. I'm calling while loop. I'm calling break also. I'm mixing multiple things here. Now let's see what it does. It's now asking me for value. Enter certain value. Certain value. Say give a. You can give anything. It's giving. Okay. It's giving me value here only. I don't want to get value here. Otherwise, it will keep printing things. Enter value A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. It will continue till the time I type quit. As I'm typing quit, came out, done. I'll run the program again. And this time I'm going to use stop. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. This time I'll type stop. Came out, done. I'll run the program again. This time I'll do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. This time I'll type small q. Done. Finish. Next, since it's case insensitive, I'll use A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. I'll use capital Q this time. Done. Did you see here, guys? I'm using multiple things here. Yeah, I've used multiple things here. That's it for today's session, guys. Okay. Thank you guys for joining in. Again, we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.
Janbask training. Learn and grow.